they realized the optics were really bad on this, and they had no control over who was going to be appointed to the commission.
Right.
And so I think the first commission we had 2 women.
So who appoints the commission?
Okay, in both cases, the chair was appointed by the president.
Okay.
And then in the first one, the members of the public were also appointed by the president. In the first one, the cabinet members were by legislation, and whoever was in that cabinet office was the member. And then for the and the second one, the Senate majority and minority leadership appointed 2 members, and the House 2 members each, and the House leadership 2 members each.
Okay.
So the 8 members were, political appointments.
Okay.
But a number of them were. They ranged. On the second one, we had a couple of academics, Larry Fuchs, who'd written extensively on migration, and Michael Teitelbaum, who was a demographer who worked on migration and refugee issues. We had some former politicos. Eventually, the next chair under Clinton, the first chair was only during the Bush administration, and when Clinton came in, he was able to appoint his own chair, and that was Barbara Jordan. So we at my recommendation.
Nice.
I'll tell you that story in a minute.
So here you are chairing this.
No,
directing the study.
Yeah,
the staff.
The staff.
So another piece of gender is, as a woman leader, what was your experience?
Well, in the first commission, Larry the director was very comfortable being as supportive as he could of women.
Right.
So one of the first 2 research directors was a woman. I was a woman.
And he was always very supportive of you.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. From the time I first met him.
Right.
Yeah.
At Brandeis, right?
Yeah. He offered me the job on the telephone.
Right.
So it's like something clicked.
But he watched you through your evolution, your changes, and then right.
One of the things he was the happiest about was when I got tenure at Georgetown. He said, it should have happened at Brandeis, but you weren't ready for it. Anyway, a number of the other senior members of the staff were women.
Okay.
And in pivotal positions, the person who was seconded or appointed from the Immigration Nationality Service to be the liaison and the chief person working on a lot of the hardcore legal issues, not legal in the sense of the laws, but legal in the policy issues. Right. I should put it that way. Was also a woman, and the chief editor for the final report was a woman. So, and the 3 of us ended up writing the entire staff report and most of the commission's report. Following the Dillingham Commission, we did two reports. One was the 2 reports and a lot of appendices. One were just the commissioner's recommendations and why they recommended it, what the implications would be, and then we had a 1,000-page staff report that talked about all the background to why we did it, all of that stuff, and then we had about 10 appendices that were also about probably 500 pages each.
Wow.
Of all of the research that had been done and the hearings that were held and all of that sort of stuff on that. Anyway, on the other commission, the one where I was executive director, the 3 top people, I was obviously director. My deputy director was a male, and my research director were both men. Andy was a little bit younger than I was, and Lindsay, who was the deputy, and the research director was probably about 10 years younger. And the three of us started the Institute at Georgetown. We came over together. We decided we had worked so well together, we wanted to
That's fantastic.
stay together on that. Many of the younger staff were women on it, and a lot of it was mentoring them, and I stayed in touch with quite a number of them over the years, and they've gone on to do great
things.
So
what was your role as executive director with the commissioners?
Okay. First of all, I directed the staff, and we had a staff of about 30.
Okay.
And half of them were direct hires on the commission payrolls, and the others were lent by the federal agencies.
Okay.
And so I had to go to each of the federal agencies, or multiple bureaus usually within the same agency, and convince them that they should assign a staff member to us. And the hardest part was convincing them that it should be their best person rather than the person they wanted
to get rid of, right?
And that was working out what the relationship would be, because I knew that these people would be wearing dual hats. They would be reporting to me in terms of their performance reviews and all of that stuff, but on the other hand, they wanted to go back to their agency in many of these cases, so they had to figure out how to work it. And I talked to their bosses about the fact that if you send me somebody really, really good, they can represent the interests of the agency, of your agency. And I said, the bottom line is that the commissioners make a decision. They're going to have to write up that decision, even if it's not what you would have wanted to see. But they'll have as much influence as possible over.
More influence than if they're not there, that's for sure. So who was the president at the time?
Well, the first president was the Bush one.
Bush one. All right.
But that was the commission was in the 1990 Immigration Act, but it was 92 before they named everybody to it. And I came on in it was fall of 1992, or late summer, I think, was when I was offered the position.
Okay.
And then Cardinal Law of Boston was the chair at that time.
Oh, wow.
And so the first meetings he was still on. And then the reason, though, that I was, they were looking first, a lot for a woman because, again, those optics. But the other thing is that they were looking for somebody who could work well with both parties, because they knew that Clinton had won the election and would be coming in, so they wanted a director whom the Democrats would want to keep and not end up having complete turnover on that.
So
since I worked with a bipartisan commission, and I had people in Congress like Alan Simpson and Ted Kennedy, who were both very supportive of my appointment, it was an easy decision.
So, if you could give me an example of a point of fact or policy recommendation you were trying to get across.
Oh, sure.
That you needed to use persuasion or other kinds of strategy.
Yeah. Okay. Well, everything. I mean,
everything.
Let me go back to just what we did. So the way the commission operated is that we, in the first few years, it was a 5-year commission, which is very unusual, although some of that 5 years was spent trying to do things. But we went through 97. So I needed to set up a staff, find space for us on that, get all of the different agencies that were going to be affected to buy into what we were doing on that. Then we held hearings around the country And so we had to organize all of those hearings.
So the staff held the hearings?
No, the commissioner.
The commissioner did,
Commissioners,
so the staff
but
organized.
the staff organized them.
Right, okay.
We also held about 25 consultations with experts on different issues. So if we were interested in detention,